the premier sports talk radio, it's Tony's Takes.
Here we go.
Welcome back to another great episode of Tony's Takes live right here on YouTube for the best show in sports talk radio. It is Tony's Takes, and of course, I am not alone. In the studio, sitting next to me is my co-host Jimmy D. Jim. It's been a while.
Tony, it has been a while, but we've been busy.
Yes. You just got back from your honeymoon? I thought we recorded... No, we recorded before your honeymoon.
We watched the Hawks last week.
And then we watched the Hawks last week. Me and Jim see each other every Thursday, regardless if there's a show or not.
No matter what.
Yeah, we watched the Hawks last week. Jim, let me tell you, that Hawks team, a little different than the game I saw on Tuesday, and we'll get into that. You watched it on your ESPN Plus account. We no longer share ESPN Plus accounts.
I'll miss those days.
I grew up, became a man, bought my own account.
It's a special bond when you share the ESPN Plus.
Yes, and so we're going to talk St. Joe's basketball. For those who don't know, and Jim, you don't know about this, but I started a St. Joe's only podcast with another writer, and we had someone, very special someone, follow the account today, Jim. Isaiah Miles. The Isaiah Miles followed the account.
All right, let's go.
So it's a good one. We're still doing Tony's Takes. I haven't given up on Tony's Takes. But Jim, you can attest to this. We don't talk about St. Joe's basketball all the time. We talk Eagles. We talk Phillies. Notoriously talk Phillies. We talk Sixers. We're going to talk a ton of Sixers tonight. But I still want to talk about St. Joe's because what Tony's Takes is going to be great for is it's still the flushing out of ideas. I'm giving, for example, we haven't recorded since the last game. Tony's Takes is getting the first hearing of my opinion on how St. Joe's played for the last game. So there is no difference in scheduling. It's just another endeavor that I have signed up for, but Tony's Takes is continuing as program scheduled.
The thing about Tony's Takes is, and this is my perspective being on the outside originally and kind of coming in, is I feel like the show has evolved quite a bit over time.
Yes.
So, as it evolves, you're kind of missing sort of the part that was always there to begin with, which was, Hawks heavy. And this
was originally NBA.
Oh,
way
wow.
back in the day.
Way back, okay.
Radio 1851, year one, and then part of year two, it was an NBA show. And then I picked up a second hour on Radio 1851. I would do a morning show on Tuesdays and an evening show on Thursdays. And for Tuesday morning, I would talk St. Joe's basketball. Thursday evening with Rory. Tuesday morning was with producer Sean P. and Tommy Higley. And then Thursday evening was with Rory, and with Rory, it was NBA basketball talk. So the show you're right, Jim, the show has evolved many, many times. At one point, as you said, in the summer, we're talking baseball. What do I know about baseball? I know absolutely nothing about baseball.
I think your knowledge of baseball has grown immensely.
But that's
since
kind
the
of
show.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It's like I would have never talked about it, but forcing me to talk about it in May, all of a sudden I know a little bit more about baseball than I would have originally done.
I'd say Tony's Takes is a well-rounded program.
Yes, we could do hours, and I've got some funny stories. Jim, I'm going to tell you the story of how Jim walked into my house today and pulled on the screen door. Jim noticed there's no screen on the screen door.
I still opened the door anyway.
Yes, you did. You can open the door. You could jump through the door. The screen was a glass screen. It wasn't a mesh screen like an old porch. But it was a glass screen. But I'm going to tell the story later on of what happened to the glass screen. But we'll get into basketball first. Jim, do you want to talk about Ben Simmons first or St. Joe's first? I'll let you decide.
I'm so geared up on the Hawks. I'd love to just rip into the Hawks right now.
I'll let you go first.
First.
I was there in person. I'm a season ticket holder. And Jim, if you want to go to the Mount St. Mary's game, I'm not going. You can have my ticket. You'd have to go alone. I only have one, but up for you if you want to go. I was there in person. I'm a season ticket holder. I had a different perspective. I want to hear what Jim thought just watching it on television. So, Jim, take it away.
So, just watching on television, first half, my thoughts were, okay, this is the St. Joe's team that Tony and I have kind of anticipated was going to be here, right? So, they did all the things that we thought they would do. We thought that they would beat a team like University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, kind of handily, because we're talking about Eastern Shore. I think they're ranked last in their conference. They're ranked pretty low, and St. Joe's is I think we're ranked 10th going into the season by the polls, right? So we thought that based on how the conference is lined up, that St. Joe's should be able to handle this team all right. First half, everything goes kind of the way that we thought. Then you notice Eastern Shore kind of, they get smaller and they get fast. They play faster. And that kind of, that is kind of the weakness of the St. Joe's team that you see now. Because when we're big, Obina's in or Casper's in, and you have Taylor Funk is tall and Jordan Hall is tall. We're just way too big for a team like that. When they start playing fast, they spread the floor out. You start seeing in the second half, they're spreading the floor more, and they're getting better looks than they were in the first half. And that's how you get St. Joe's kind of letting up a lot more points. And then for some reason, our offense just went completely flat, So that second half was just sort of, it's like a tale of two teams, right? So the first half, we see the competent St. Joe's team that we expect. And if they play that basketball for an entire game, then, they could be as high as 6th or 5th in the A-10 if they play that whole game like that. But the second half is sort of the detriment of the St. Joe's team, and that's where you see the reason why they're going to be ranked 10th in the A-10 going into the season. And they have to be able to figure out a way to play against smaller teams, because if we're big like this all the time, it's gonna be such a detriment. So that's sort of my issue. Second half, and we can't have bad. We just have to play good offense. If we play good offense or semi-good offense against that, then we don't even have to worry about the game getting close and Eastern Shore changing the lead. They took the lead back and forth. The lead change was maybe like 4 or 5 times within the last 5 minutes of the game. So
probably more than that, honestly.
Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth at the end, and it shouldn't have been that close. And I think that's where the detriment of the team is, and maybe that gets cleaned up through the year, but we're just not small enough to compete with teams like that are quick and that are going to spread the floor on us.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I'm gonna mention a couple things that you said that are completely true. I'll start with the smaller thing, the actual size of the opponent, which I thought was a really good, something that I picked up. I tweeted it. You don't even follow me on Twitter because you don't have a Twitter, so you wouldn't have known. But we're catching on the same thing, though. I said these players, or the opposing guard against Jordan Hall, was too fast. Kept Jordan Hall in front of him pretty well because he was just quick enough. And Jordan Hall, more importantly, couldn't get past a smaller defender, believe it or not, because the smaller defender could just shuffle his feet, and then Jordan Hall had a hard time keeping him in front of him on the defensive end. Jordan Hall is a little bit bigger, a little bit slower, and this faster guard could go right by him multiple times. Jordan Hall sees the attacker going right by him. And as I said, when Jordan Hall was on offense, for some reason, he just doesn't have that quick of he has a quick first step, but his first step isn't as quick as a 6-foot point guard. And a 6-foot point guard can swipe at the ball, and there's a couple times that Jordan Hall's barely within the half court, and he's getting the ball stolen from him. So I thought that was a really good observation. Another one that you had, Jim, that I thought was a good observation was, this is a tale of two teams, right? There is first the team that we saw in the first half where ball movement is really good. Excellent ball movement. To the point where it looked easy to them. They're picking the ball up on the rebound. They're running the court really smooth. And they're finding the guy who's going to score within 5 seconds, 7 seconds of the ball crossing the half court. Second half, we get a team that, quite frankly, gets the ball past half court, and we spend 25 seconds passing it around the arc, not doing anything about it, passing it around, and then doing a bailout 3 with Jordan Hall, or who just could not hit a shot. Excuse me. Or a shot with Taylor Funk, who he made 6 threes. Taylor played really well. But and this is my final point, I guess, is the question is, which team do we get? Do we get first half team or do we get second half team? And the answer to that question is, well, you can answer that question with another question. Are we getting the first half team or the second half team? Well, is Jordan Hall going to play hard or is he going to play soft? Taylor Funk is going to score like that every night. Taylor Funk's not going to be the problem. Taylor Funk does 2 things really well. He sets screens, he rolls really hard, and he shoots threes. And he's really good at all of that. So he's so good at it with his size, he is a legitimate all-team conference contender. But that's all he does, and which is fine. I'd rather have someone who's really good at 4 things than not good at any of them. But what Jordan does is so critical to winning, and it's so based on effort and intensity, that we won't win games. Jordan Hall needs to be a better defender because he's guarding the guards. He's guarding a point guard who's usually the one who's, they're the ones who orchestrate the offense. If you can't stop them, or if you can't hurt them in any way, and when I say hurt them, I mean hurt their ability to play the game in the sense that you're impeding on their ability to read the floor, you're keeping them in front of you, you're stopping any passes or any backdoor cuts. If you don't do that job, then the team struggles. And Jim, you saw, and confirm if you saw this. This is what I saw. Jordan Hall turnovers a lot. Jordan Hall inbounds the ball, and it's a turnover. Jordan Hall throws a bounce pass to Obina on a pick and roll. It's so low, Obina can barely reach down to get it. Or he throws an inbound pass to Brown, who's standing at the dunker spot, but Brown's only 6'5", and he throws it over his head. Another turnover. Jordan Hall's guarding someone, and they inbound it for an easy dunk with like less than a minute to go, and it looks like Bishop's the one who broke the coverage, but if you watch the play over again, it's actually Jordan Hall who breaks down in coverage. However, on the flip side, in the beginning of the game, Jordan's making the right passes. He made 11 assists. It's the funny thing is Jordan Hall didn't have a great game. He had almost had a triple-double.
Yeah. Yep.
It just goes to show, even the stat line, you can just because you're getting the stats, there's a certain level of intensity that also has to be there as well. Jordan Hall has to stop the other players. Jordan Hall can't turn the ball over. He's got to put the ball in a winning position for his teammates. And in the last minute, he did all of that. He made the right decisions. He played his tempo needs to be a certain tempo. I don't know how to describe it, but you can just tell when he's too hurried or when he's too patient. There's a balance that he needs to find, that the tempo that he picks can catch defenders off guard, can put the ball in the offense in the right hands at the right time. All of this to say, we don't know which team we're going to get, and it largely depends on Jordan Hall and how he plays, because he's the one who determines who gets the ball in a scoring position, how the offense is going to be set up in the half court. He's really determining defensive intensity, especially when stopping opposing point guards. He's really critical to rebound. He just does all these things, and if you're not, he's going to get stats regardless if he's intense or not. He's going to have 10 assists. He's going to have 8 assists, even if he plays really laid back. But we're going to win when he gets 12 assists and 20 points rather than 15 points and 8 assists. So that's just like, it was bugging me.
Let me ask you something. Hawks are down 3. I want to say it was probably about a minute left to play, or maybe 49 seconds to play. Mm-hmm. Who did you want to have the ball in their hands?
Like to shoot?
Yeah. We had to get a quick bucket. We weren't going to go for 3.
You got to put it in Jordan's hands.
And it was, right?
Yeah.
And who went and got a quick bucket for us?
So Jordan got that 3 with a minute to go. He was one of them.
And then, we had that. We were down 3. Jordan got that quick 2.
Yes, he had a layup.
Yeah.
Obina had a dunk that kept us in it when we were down a point, and then Taylor hits the game-winning 3.
Yep.
But the Obina dunk and a Jordan Hall assist puts it in the right spot, and Obina gets the that's the other thing. In that final minute, it's Jordan Hall. It's either Jordan Hall scoring or Jordan Hall assisting a player.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show, like, that's the type of intensity we need.
Yeah, but I don't need him inbounding the ball.
Who do you want, Taylor, to inbound the ball?
I don't know, but I just need no turnovers.
Yeah, there was a couple turnovers, and I mean, they came out so flat. Mm-hmm. Like, so flat.
Yeah, yeah. And, one thing I want to just mention here about this Hawks game, because this game could have been lost.
Easily.
The momentum of the whole season would have been shifted. you would have said, okay, this Hawks team is
I would have turned on Billy Lang.
Yeah,
that's how bad that would have been.
This Hawks team is just as bad as they were last year, and then it would be in a different spirit. But it went the right way, and you know what? There's 3 people that I want to say, or maybe 4, 3 or 4 people that I would say that really made that game possible for the win. Right? Jordan Hall, we mentioned. Taylor Funk hits the 3, but I think earlier in that play, we were trying to get an inbound. We had a timeout or something. There was a foul, whatever. Billy Lang puts in Obina because Obina wasn't in. He wasn't in at that time. I think maybe might have been 2 minutes ago or something like that. Yeah. But I thought that this was really
he was really alternating Obina in and out, in and out.
I thought that this was a really, really smart move by Lang because all they wanted to do was get somebody up in the post so they could get a quick 2 points, and they had that inbounds. And they didn't get it the first time or whatever, and they recalibrated, got it. They passed it out to Jordan Hall, and Jordan Hall got it back into Obina for the quick 2 because we were totally oversized compared to Eastern Shore. So I thought that was like really crucial by Billy Lang. I thought Billy Lang deserves a lot of credit here because if they don't put Obina in to get that quick bucket with like a minute and a half to go, then maybe we don't have that chance to hit that 3 and take the lead eventually. You know, certain things in line in the succession of the last 3 minutes of the game had to happen in order for Funk's 3 to even matter. You know,
yeah.
And Funk hitting that 3 was crucial because it gave us the win, obviously. But there was other things in line, and I think that Billy Lang really set them up to come back, and I think that's part of the coach's job. So I thought he did a good job with what he's supposed to do.
Obina played really well.
Oh yeah,
I thought he played really well.
I like him a lot. I think
he's a functional center in the A10. Everyone was like, "Oh, he's not going to be that good." He can, and Coleman too. Look, Coleman didn't score as much, but every shot that Coleman took, you take that shot. You have to take that shot. They were within a few feet of the rim. He needs to get a little bit more of a touch going with his layups. But even when they didn't go in, they were so close. I could not, he made the right decision. He had the ball in his hands against a smaller defender, and he got a good look. It just didn't go in. Obina, on the other hand, put those baskets in, and it was good. And then Obina hit some critical free throws. Obina hit some critical free throws in the middle of the second half that kind of kept St. Joe's in it.
Which we were both scoping out at the U Sciences exhibition game. We were checking out what the free throws were looking like from those guys.
Yeah, he has a major hitch.
Yeah, what we were looking for.
He has a major hitch in a shot. Jim, score update, and this is just interesting. George Washington of the A10 up on Maryland right now at the half, 30-29. Kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
GW is one of those more bottom tier teams in the A10. I know no one on the show probably cares that much, but kind of interesting. I mean, Maryland's ranked. They're 21st in the country, so who knows? And I'm going to say one more thing before we move on, Jim. University of Maryland Eastern Shore isn't that bad of a team. They pushed Temple for 3/4 of the game yesterday. They were tied with Temple on a back-to-back.
Right.
Literally the next day, hostile territory. Temple's a better team than St. Joe's on paper and probably in person. And I will say Temple's a better team than St. Joe's until St. Joe's beats them. Right? I have to. I can't lie to you about that. But Maryland Eastern Shore was tied with Temple for majority of the game, and then you could just tell their legs were not underneath them anymore.
On a back-to-back, that's tough.
Oh, they could barely jump.
And just imagine if St. Joe's offense didn't fall flat. Then you probably have the same result there.
I know, it was so funny because LaSalle was down to Sacred Heart at the half, and me, Tommy Higley, Sean Principali are sitting there, 20-point lead, grinning like, okay, I'm going to leave with 8 minutes to go. This, we were doing what we need to do. Like this team, we were high-fiving, this team looks great. Second half comes, Higley could not even look up from his seat. He's literally like hands on the eyes with like 5 minutes to go. He not talking to anyone. Just he's like a turtle. He's shut down.
Yeah,
he could not talk.
Yeah, definitely. Something I want to bring up. It's just before we move on from college basketball. Villanova.
What about it?
Do not have a guy over 6'9".
And we have guys only 6'9".
Well, we have Coleman, 7 foot.
And we have Obina. And we have Funk.
Obina's what, 6'9"?
6'10".
6'10", okay. And Funk is
6'9", 6'8".
I don't know, man.
Paul 6'7".
Villanova might
Casper 6'9".
They might not like the matchup against us, but they're just a
They're just gonna
better
shoot
version of
threes.
Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
But who knows? I'm looking forward to it though.
It's gonna be a good game. I secured my LaSalle Villanova tickets, so.
Oh, and U Sciences opens up tomorrow night against Bentley.
New segment. Jim is covering U Science basketball for the pod, and so he'll be giving us an update on McCafferty, Bishop Eustace alum. We'll be talking about him a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we'll have him call in the show.
Oh.
Who would ever thought?
We
I don't
might
know
have
him.
connections.
I don't know him, but yeah, we do. Michael Coleman knows him.
Does he?
Knows his sister.
Oh wow.
We
okay.
can get it. We can get him on the show.
Oh, we got it.
We're big U Science fans now.
Go Devils.
Development program for St. Joe's basketball. If you're a Division II talent and you want to be on St. Joe's basketball, go to U Sciences. We might pull you up.
Not a bad team though.
Temple has a guy from Camden Catholic on their team, a freshman.
They do. He scored 10 points.
He's big.
Last night.
That dude's big. How did St. Joe's not recruit that kid?
I don't know.
How did we lose him to Temple? I'd rather go to St. Joe's than Temple.
Yeah, I know.
And Temple's basketball's not that great.
I don't understand. But maybe it's Billy Lang's fault.
Probably. Oh, yeah, that's what everyone else does, right? They just blame him. Okay, Jim, that's enough college talk. Let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles, of course. Wait. Let's talk Sixers. Let's talk the Simmons trade. So I'll set you up, Jim, with the Simmons information. This is per Bleacher Report. This is by Adam Wells. This just came out on the 9th, and there's been some development, but I'll read a little bit from here. Amid rumors that the Boston Celtics are interested in Ben Simmons, the feeling is apparently mutual. Per Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe, Simmons would be interested in playing for the Celtics if a deal could be worked out with the 76ers. On Monday, Shams Charania of The Athletic and Stadium reported that Boston has, quote, engaged in conversations with the 76ers about Simmons, but there is no traction as of yet in those discussions. Charania noted a deal with the Celtics for Simmons would have to include Jaylen Brown to go to Philadelphia, which makes sense. Washburn noted including Brown in a trade for Simmons would be a, quote, non-starter for the Celtics president of operations. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Things have been relatively quiet on the Simmons trade front for a while. Charania reported in August the Sixers did have, quote, extensive talks with several teams, including Minnesota, and that's about it from the article. However, so first of all, let's just start with this. Sixers say Maxey's untouchable. The Celtics say Brown's untouchable. Look, you're not getting Ben Simmons if we don't get Jaylen Brown. Ben Simmons is that good of a player. So we'll just keep holding on to him. But Jim, and this is the part I'm going to chime you in at, pulling it up. This is from our lovely friend Graham Blee. Who knows if this is true or not? But if it is true, not saying this is true. This is like some from random Instagram account. But I thought it was interesting, just the idea of it. From Trending NBA. Daryl Morey asked for Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, and a protected first-round pick in exchange for Ben Simmons and Danny Green, per Shams Charania, apparently. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if this account is right. But with that, I feel like the Sixers are asking for a little too much.
Definitely. But if they're asking for that, then they're willing to negotiate down. That's what I think. You know?
I think the trade is Ben Simmons, Jaylen Brown straight up. I think that's a fair trade.
You think so?
Yeah, don't you?
I think the Sixers need to throw in a pick.
No, Ben Simmons is more valuable than Jaylen Brown.
Look at the circus that is following Ben Simmons right now.
You think that he's just that cancerous that you throw in a... remember, you got to balance out some cap space too.
Like his credibility, right, is like kind of faltering now. The more that he sits out like this, the less that any team's going to want to take him.
Yeah.
The more that he...
They're finding him again.
The more that he, you don't want to call anybody like a fraud or anything, but the more that somebody...
I don't want to call him a fraud, but I'm about... everyone buckle up. Yeah. Jim's about to do it.
The way that he's claiming that he's going through mental stress or...
This is putting me through some mental stress.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. It just obviously, like, if he didn't say that he was sitting out beforehand and then all of a sudden claiming mental stress, like, that doesn't follow right. It obviously seems like there's something that he might be faking there, you know. But if he just said that he was mentally not okay to play from the beginning, then it would be a different story, you know. But there's all of this. We know all of these things about Ben Simmons before he started claiming that he mentally, psychologically wasn't okay to play, you know. So he's gonna have to just like show that he wants to be a part of a basketball organization in order to be traded to go to a basketball organization. But right now, he is his own worst enemy for the rest of his career. He's setting up the rest of his career for failure.
It's always on. It's on him.
Yeah.
It's not the Sixers' fault. And I do agree. I see where you're coming from on that, right? He's so it's such damaged goods. You do anything to get him off your hands, kind of situation.
Sure, but you know what team wants the damaged goods? Who wants the drop box of cereal when there's the one that's undamaged? You know, in the grocery store.
So then I don't eat cereal, but who do you trade? So then what do? We do Ben Simmons, Danny Green, and for Brown, and just call it a day. That's a reasonable trade.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know how cap space. See, that's the problem. It's like you run into these cap space questions.
But see, like I would want something. Give me something else for Danny Green, like something low. You know.
Okay.
Because right now,
throw in the Robert Williams. And
Jaylen Brown is the upside.
Yeah.
To the trade, obviously. So.
And you have to keep Maxey. You need your point guard.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of him.
Maxey, no.
That's the part I understand where they go Maxey's untouchable is because he's literally the point guard. You need him on the court. Unless we're getting a point guard in return.
Right.
Then I understand. See, this is what screws us, man. We have all these good bench players, and we slowly give them away for trading disgruntled employees. Dario Saric, we traded away for a guy who was disgruntled.
Right. Well,
Robert Covington.
I actually have a
Landry Shamet.
A little surprise for you
hold
here
on.
on the Ben Simmons front.
Landry Shamet. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Ben Simmons was cited at Wells Fargo Center tonight for the team's film study before the game.
He ain't gonna play.
No, I don't think so. But I think that this is what I'm talking about. He has to show that he wants to be a part of the organization on some level. He wants to play basketball.
This all would have gone away if he just played for the last 2 months. How hard? You made it so much harder on yourself. Like, there's no going back now. Like, the amount of pressure he gets now and being seen in public is probably way worse than if he had just showed up and played a couple games after that bad performance. Like, we're not even talking about that poor playoff performance anymore. No one's talking about it. We're only just talking about how he's acting like a big baby. I can't believe we traded Jimmy Butler for this guy.
I know.
Like, that's literally what it came down to.
We turned our backs on Jimmy Butler for
this
Ben
snob.
Simmons. We didn't go after Kawhi.
Yeah, we didn't trade for Kawhi.
We didn't get James Harden.
Yeah. And this is what we get in return.
Kawhi, James Harden, or Jimmy Butler. I would take any one of them.
Well, Jim, it turns out we can't be too pigeonholed to guys who are like this. We've learned our lesson. You just upgrade. You flip the picks. Always. Upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. Jimmy's a better player than Ben. Upgrade. Kawhi for 1 year would have been worth it because we might have won a championship that year.
Right.
Flip it.
I'm speechless. I don't know. Like, when you think about this, when you think about all the things that we went through in the last 2 or 3 years of Ben Simmons and the saga, you just feel like we've made the wrong decision at every turn.
This organization has made every wrong decision you could possibly make.
Like, even if you just flipped a coin, you might have made a better chance or made a better choice down the road. Even if you just flipped it, heads or tails for James Harden, and it landed on heads, and you picked James Harden, like, it could have worked out, but we made the wrong decision 3 times.
At least we have Maxey through all this.
He has grown into a good player this year. He's stepping into the role. And, if with Ben Simmons out, he could mature a lot.
We could be okay.
Yeah.
I like to think so. We'll figure it out, Jim. Let's go to the Eagles.
Oh, speaking of, if you flip the coin, you probably could have been better off.
Jim's bets.
My picks this year. Horrible.
Jim, you're 6-10. I did the math. I calculated the last 2 weeks. You went like 1-1 both weeks, I think, or something like that.
I think I was 0-2 last week.
What's that? Yeah, I had the texts, so I went back and I calculated everything.
Yeah.
So that's an accurate count. Tony's sitting at 8-8. Jim's at 6-10.
Yeah, because I think I was 5-7 going into vacation.
Yeah.
And I went 1-3 over the last 2 weeks.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I was at one point leading the charge, and then I just had a bunch of 1-1s.
Yeah.
And we couldn't pull away.
It's okay to be 500, at least if the fans
I
follow
haven't
Tony.
lost any money.
If they followed you, they'd be all right. They wouldn't be in the hole.
Okay, Jim. So we'll do our picks first, and then we'll actually talk birds.
Okay.
But I'll go first this time. This is at Denver, correct? I think they're playing at Denver.
Correct.
It's a 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it's at Denver.
Yeah. Mile High City. You can kick the ball really far. Denver's favored by 3 points.
So it's a pick 'em.
I think Denver's a fraud team. I'm going to pick the Eagles on the spread. And for the over-under, I'm 44 points. I'm going over. This Eagles team can score.
Wow, okay.
Broncos just traded Von Miller away.
Yeah.
So I'm going Eagles and over.
So the Broncos were dismantling the Cowboys for a while. And the Cowboys started scoring in the second half of the game. I think the Eagles can. For some reason, I think the Eagles can win this game, even though Denver just beat the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to do the typical Cowboys thing.
Yeah.
Where they look really flashy at some points, and they just kind of become this 500 team by the end of the season, or maybe just like 2 games over 500.
Like they'll win the division, but
they won't go past the first round of playoffs.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm going to go with I'm taking the Eagles +3. I think the Eagles are going to win this game straight up. And I'm going to go with the under. If Vegas has a 44 total, it just makes me feel like it's going to be a low-scoring game. So if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to go with the Eagles, like 20-17, something like that.
I think Eagles can score a lot. They run the ball a lot now. All of a sudden, they're running it, and that kind of favors you at altitude a little bit more. Even though throwing the ball is a lot easier at altitude as well.
Sure.
I just think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Teddy Bridgewater's a competent quarterback, and Jalen Hurts has shown that he can they've scored a lot in their last games.
Well, with the throwing the ball at altitude, you're just going to see more Jalen Hurts balls overthrown. That's what you're going to see.
Ball soaring into the crowd.
Yep. It's just going to fly.
Are they okay? Here comes my first question for you, Jim. Are they running the ball too much now? All of a sudden, we're saying, are they running the ball too much?
See, I think the offense was actually pretty good last week.
I thought that was a good game against the Chargers. Chargers are a really good opponent. It just didn't roll your way. I'm not as angry about that loss.
The problem is, dude, you win the Niners game, and then you feel a little bit better about where we are in the season. Like it's so crazy. I go back to this Niners game because we talked about it, and you said like it was such a crucial game at the beginning of the season.
Just one of those ones where you put a win in the back pocket.
And yeah, I mean, just 17-11. When I just look back at that score, and I'm like, oh my god, we just needed
that
one
touchdown turned over, and just and you're looking at it, you're like, oh, what are we now? 4-6 or 3-5? What is the record?
3-6.
3-6. It's like,
yep.
You'd be 4-5.
Yeah.
And that's a totally different outlook on everything. You're like, okay, we win next week and we're 500 and anything's possible after that.
Yep. You got 7 games to go, but now we got to win 3 in a row to be 500 again.
Mm-hmm.
So, this season's kind of shaping up. I think it's going to be like a 6 or 7 win season, which is, it's fine. It's the first year.
Yeah, but 6 and 7 feels different when you have 17 games.
Yeah, that's true. But I do think that last week's game was good for the offense, and I really do blame a lot of the failures of last week on the defense. There was a lot there that I just can't believe every single time I'm watching. We talked about a tale of 2 teams with the St. Joe's Hawks. This Eagles team, it's like, okay, now it's a team that only throws the ball. Now it's a team that only runs the ball. Now it's a team that does both. Now it's a defense that shuts everybody down. Now it's a defense that just lets everybody pass as much as they want. Like, I don't know what the identity of the Philadelphia Eagles are this year. Can you even pinpoint what it is that we do well and what it is that we don't do well?
It's like Lane Johnson's here. Let's run the ball. It's like we're going to run the ball a ton now. Fans, if you're listening to the show and you've got a take on the Eagles, put it in the chat. We'll read it out loud live on the show. And, of course, follow us, our Twitter account at Tonys_takes. And if you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe. Double-click the notification bell. talking Eagles football. Jim's talking about the identity of this team. We'd love to hear what you think the identity of the Eagles team. I think their identity is losing. I think that's one of their identities.
Well, that's part of this season. It's part of a young coach. Personally, a lot of people have been coming to me and talking to me about, having a young coach and what a young coach does to a team, right? A lot of people think, all right, well, this young coach, he's not a disciplinarian. He's not what an older coach would bring. He doesn't have a lot of experience being at the helm, So you're gonna find that this coach probably caters to the egos of these players. So he's gonna be a little bit easier, and I feel like that's what we're seeing here. We're not seeing somebody that's very strict on the team.
He's gonna let things kind of like
the penalties, for instance, earlier in the season.
It's like, I'm the player's coach. I don't want to get on people's cases.
Yep.
And, the media always rips on the guys who are hard, try to be, hard on players, old school. You got to command some respect in the locker room.
Yeah, but who do you see leading charge every year? You have Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, Pete Carroll.
Those guys are established.
Aren't that great right now, but they're all experienced coaches.
Here's the thing, Jim.
Disciplined coaches.
That's a good point. We had that kind of guy in Doug Peterson in the sense that he did command respect.
Sure.
And then the owner undermined him.
I think part of the issue with Doug is, the relationship with the front office was not good. Not at Doug's fault. It's not his issue that the relationship wasn't good. But also Doug was pretty offensive minded. I listened to Brandon Graham's show on WIP, and he talks about how the meetings with Doug, they were different than with any other coach because he was always so offensive heavy. So, being a former quarterback in the NFL, I'm sure that's how it came off. The types of coaches that we need, maybe Doug Peterson wasn't the answer. Maybe they did need to move on from him, but I'm just thinking of, you need established guys that have been in the NFL. I don't want Philadelphia to be the training ground for coaches. I don't want Nick Sirianni to his start to be at Philadelphia. I want a coach to come when they're in the midst of their career, like when Andy Reid left us and went to Kansas City.
You want Andy, if you're Kansas City, you want to be
right.
You want to be Kansas City in that situation.
Exactly. I want John Gruden to come back from ESPN analyst and come to Philadelphia. You know what I mean? And it doesn't seem like we get chosen.
Doug Peterson was his first crack.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he's going to be coaching the Bears next year, and they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
they've got a good quarterback, and he knows how to work with quarterbacks.
It just seems like we never get chosen. Like, I want to be chosen. I want the coaches to come to us and say, we want to.
Philadelphia's not that type of organization.
Yeah, it's not.
Name no coach has ever come. We have to find our own.
Right. And I'm thankful for that Super Bowl.
But NFL coaching is a disgrace. It's terrible.
Sure.
It's name a definitive genius outside of Bill Belichick. Even Pete Carroll struggles.
Sure. But at least the Seahawks are in it every year.
Right. There's very few of those types of coaches in the NFL right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Belichick, Peyton, Sean Payton, and Pete Carroll. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Bill, who's the Arizona coach? Maybe, but he hasn't won a Super Bowl. He's not that type of coach.
Who's the Tampa Bay Bucks coach?
That's who I said Arizona. Is it Bruce Arians?
Bruce Arians. Yep, Bruce Arians. Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
But
he should be middle of the road, and now we're considering him.
Yeah, he wins one Super Bowl, but he had Tom Brady, so it's like, really, is Bruce Arians really the answer?
And now Belichick, it looks like he's gonna make a charge into the playoffs.
Yeah,
with this Mac Jones.
And I liked Mac in the beginning of the year.
You did.
I thought that he was going to be a good quarterback. I drafted him in all my fantasy leagues. I thought, oh my God, Mac Jones, nobody's taking him.
I think he's going to win games, but not score a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely what the answer.
But he is good.
Him is. Yep.
He's good, and it's probably because Belichick's not an idiot. He knows what he's doing.
Sure, and he always. My point with Bill Belichick is, if somebody acts up in the Patriots organization, they're cut the next day.
Mm-hmm.
They know not to mess up.
Antonio Brown.
It's just like the Yankees. The Yankees still have the haircut and no facial hair policy.
Yeah.
And people think it's stupid. But you know what? having that sort of regulation or standard that you're going to come here and you're going to be business. Like, I don't know, it just sets the tone a different way. And it's a trivial rule to have, obviously, but it does set the tone about how the organization is going to be run and how the teams are going to treat every game.
Yeah, traditions like that are good. Like here's a good tradition that was all these college basketball coaches don't wear suits anymore. Put the suit back on. Call me old-fashioned, but it's just in basketball you wear a suit.
Fans of Tony's
baseball,
takes.
You wear a jersey. In football, you wear the quarter zip. But when you come to a basketball game, you put that suit on.
I like in baseball where the manager wears the full
Yeah, they've
uniform.
got their own number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
that's a
that
tradition.
Yeah. But fans of Tony's takes, I had to hear this. Coaches need to wear the suit during the U Sciences exhibition game.
Even the U Science exhibition game, I'm demanding that they wear suits for that. It is unacceptable. Call me old-fashioned, but you got to put it on. You just look sharper. You look better. Sharper image. Let's move the show along, Jim. Closing down. Let's move to baseball. Now, your favorite team, the Braves, have won a World Series.
Not my favorite team.
Now, I'm going to say this. Yes, the Phillies. It stinks to be the Phillies after that. However, I can name an organization that's worse. The Mets.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a Mets fan and you're me and Jim's age, you have now watched the Nationals, the Marlins, the Phillies, and the Braves all win World Series while you wait for them still. While you wait for the Mets, who blew it in 2015.
Man.
You're just sitting there and watching
that. They just blew it in 2015. They were playing the Royals.
Yeah. A team we're not even talking about anymore. Royals had 2 good years. Lost to the Cubs, beat the Mets.
That was just horrendous. That was
it wasn't the Cubs. Who did the Royals lose to? Oh, that's going to bother me. Was it the Giants? Might have been the Giants. I think it was the Giants. But then they come back and they beat the Mets.
Oh, my God.
I hope I got that right.
I remember watching the 2015 World Series.
You were with a Mets fan.
With a Mets fan. And it's just
who will remain nameless.
I was actually, as an NL East fan, I was like, all right, like I hope, maybe the Mets win. They haven't won one in a while. And I just watched the downfall of that team. And I just like, this is what it feels like to be a Mets fan. You just
a total disgrace.
Yeah. On baseball, I don't know if you want to touch on Phillies at all, but Bryce Harper, Silver Slugger Award in the outfield. And they
haven't announced MVP yet.
They haven't announced MVP yet. No. That is tonight, November 11th.
What time?
I think 8:00.
Oh, right when we end the show.
But also
I hope he wins it. I hope he wins it.
Well, the last time he won the Silver Slugger, he won the MVP.
Ooh.
So,
woo.
And he gets a $500,000 bonus.
That's okay. I'll pay him. Phils. He played really well.
Yeah.
He's the only one who showed up.
But the Phillies are also interested in Starling Marte.
Oh, so that's an old name.
Yeah, he's 33 now. Former Marlin. He hit .310 last year as a 33-year-old.
Did Starling Marte only play for the Marlins?
Plays for the Athletics now.
And that was it? Those are the only 2 teams he ever played with?
I think so, yeah.
Who was the one that played with McCutchen at Pittsburgh? Another outfielder. For some reason I thought it was Starling.
Upton?
No. Oh, whatever. I'm not going to let us go down this road.
Okay.
But I was just... Starling Marte, I don't know why. I used to play a lot of fantasy baseball. He was someone I'd always have on the team.
No, he played for the Pirates, the Diamondbacks, the Marlins,
I was
and the
right.
Athletics. Yep.
Okay, I thought he played for the Pirates. I'm thinking, I thought he played for the Pirates.
Yep. No.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's 33, so he's had a career.
And guys bounce around.
Yep.
But go ahead. Sorry. What? Tangent.
Phillies are interested in Starling Marte. I think that all right, so he hit .310 last year. That's great.
Really good.
But he's 33.
That's not going to happen again.
So, yeah.
I would sign him knowing that that's not going to happen, or expect that not to happen.
But we can't have a big contract. We can't have a 5-year. It's got to be like
2
a
years.
2 or maybe he pushes it to 3 because he did hit so well last year. But I'm afraid if you sign somebody like this, it's going to be the same thing that we had with McCutcheon.
Stop signing old guys.
McCutcheon came in. He had a great first half of his first year, blows his knee out, and then he has never been the same. He hit 25 home runs last year, but he was hitting 220. So it's like, you get some value out of him, but it's not the same.
Yep.
It's not the same 32-year-old or 33-year-old that you signed at the time.
And that's us investing in the wrong assets. I want to invest in a bunch of 19-year-olds, not in a 33-year-old.
Well, this is the problem. We drafted Moniak and we drafted Adam Hazley a few years ago, and we thought, all right, at this point, in 2021 or in 2022, that's our starting players right there, and they stink.
Draft better.
Yeah, we don't draft well. Moniak, we was number 1 overall pick, or was it Hazley?
Yeah, but number 1 overall picks never pan out in the MLB. There's like for every one first round pick, for every number 1 overall pick, there's like a million other guys who make the All-Star game who were like not even drafted.
Right.
That's just how baseball is. Versus basketball, get your hands on a number 1 overall pick, tends to be very good players.
Yeah, well, because it seems like basketball, it's like, okay,
you just know.
You know who the top 3 are.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just know. Jim.
Okay, yeah. Mickey Moniak, number 1 overall pick in 2016. You think maybe 4 or 5 years it comes and be the starting player?
Was Buster Posey a number 1 overall pick?
I don't know.
For some reason, I thought he was. I could be wrong. I have these fleeting thoughts that come in and out of my brain. No, probably not. I don't know why I said that. Oh, well.
He might have been, but he definitely, I don't know. He's definitely worth whatever draft he was.
You think? Best catcher in baseball.
Oh my God.
So, Jim, I'll tell you my story. We're at that point of the show. We'll tell the story and close out the show.
Hold on. Wait 1 second. He was drafted in the 50th round.
Sheesh. See? Well, that just goes to prove my other point. It matters more player development.
Yeah.
Player development's everything.
Sure.
I'll tell you my funny story, Jim. So Jimmy walks into the house today. No screen door. Now, Jim, you're probably wondering, why is there no screen door? Well, if you stopped and looked at the ground, you'd know that there's scratch marks on it. All over our hardwood floor. And I was sitting at this table we're at right now in the basement, my L-shaped table, the command center. Sitting, looking in the direction of where I'm looking at Jim right now. This is the direction I was looking at. I was talking to someone who was looking at me. And someone was working on the plumbing upstairs. Upstairs. So we're in the basement right now. They're working on the plumbing on the second floor, technically. They're removing an old toilet by themselves. One guy picks up the old toilet, starts to make his way to the stairs, and I'm talking to this person, and all of a sudden we hear, boom, 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 boom. And at first I thought the guy fell down the steps. My first thought was this guy was not, I didn't even think the toilet was in his hand. I thought he just fell down the steps. Like this guy probably just stepped in some water because he's a plumber, and he slipped and he fell and he just broke his arm. I would say that would be a pretty bad situation. However, it gets worse when you think that it wasn't him who fell down the steps. It was the toilet. And the toilet, which was the old toilet, now just think about that. It's an older toilet. It's seen some things. Rolling down the steps. Boom, boom, boom. Water flying, sewage flying everywhere on the walls, rolling down the thing. Boom, boom, boom. And then rolls out the front door onto the lawn. Smashes the glass. Everywhere. Stuff everywhere. Glass everywhere. My dog, who sits and looks out the glass window in the afternoon, sticks his nose through the door, realizes that freedom is only a sniff away. is so funny.
Oh man. Oh my god.
I'll show you the scratches, Jim.
I can't believe I missed. Like, it doesn't even look like
It
that
happened
when
like
I
3 weeks ago.
when I walked in. Wow.
I thought the guy fell down the steps.
Before I left. Just before I left. Few
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought this guy fell down the steps.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, literally, you would have been on your honeymoon, I think.
Yeah. Wow. I feel so bad, but that is a crazy story.
I couldn't believe it happened.
What happened? He just dropped it?
He dropped it. It slipped out of his hand. He was carrying it by himself. He had a partner there working with him. They should have done it together.
Oh my gosh.
I'm lucky he didn't fall with the toilet. Could have killed him.
I'm lucky the toilet didn't fall through the stairs.
It could have fallen down the stairs through the floor.
Oh man.
Imagine if I'm sitting here typing away, boom, like the what's it called? Like the stucco flying out and like dust everywhere.
It would have been something out of a movie.
Literally.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's my only crazy. Unless you have another crazy story, we can wrap up the show. But that's the only crazy story I have.
Nothing crazy. I just want to mention I was hanging out with a former Eagle today at the bar.
Yeah, bring it up. Talk about your
At Veterans Day bar. I was hanging out.
Mr. Daniels, a veteran himself.
Yep, and his dad, my pop, both vets. I was hanging out at the local Applebee's, the neighborhood. We're not sponsored by them, but just throw that in there.
I like how you called that a local bar. It's an Applebee's.
Oh, there's a little bar and grill.
Yeah, the grill part. I forgot about that. What grill? I thought they used them. It should be called bar and microwave.
Probably bar and restaurant. But yeah, I was hanging out there, and somebody's talking about their kid being playing basketball at St. Joe's. I'm like, fellow Hawk. All right, there we go.
You show him the tattoo?
I did not show. I did talk about the tattoo.
Roll up the jeans.
I did talk about the Hawk tattoo, but yeah, it turned out to be Freddie Smalls. He was a linebacker in '87 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Gangrene, Jerome Brown, Reggie White, Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner, all of them. So it was pretty cool. I was hanging out with an Eagle. I got a picture, and yeah, thought it was just a cool story I could mention. And just got to mention, just let's see Gabby Smalls in the starting lineup for the St. Joe's Hawks. I'm not partial in any way.
I don't even remember what the women's coach name is, but Jim's pulling
Cindy.
for minutes on the women's team. Jim's demanding that the girls' team equally distribute minutes.
I'm just saying, Hawk Hill Hardwood. I know you listen. Let's maybe next time we talk to the head coach, ask why the leading rebounder from last year is not starting.
Jim is fully invested in U Science basketball and women's St. Joe's basketball. Jim, we have a couple guys at A10 Talk who cover women's basketball. This could be your new thing. We need writers for women's team.
All right, well, throw me in there.
We'll see tonight if Bryce Harper becomes MVP. We'll surely talk about it next week. And George Washington is now down to Maryland by almost 10 points. It was nice while it lasted. For those who are listening to the show, we really do appreciate it. Please make sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Double click the notification bell. That way you get notified every time we go live. And oh, okay. I was going to say, I just pulled up the chat like, oh, why am I not seeing any chats? But no one chatted. It's fine. We're just a little lonely. Follow our Twitter account at Tonys_takes. Email the mailbag, tonystakes.1851@gmail.com. Follow my new St. Joe's podcast, Hawk Talk, SJU. It's a good one. We're definitely trendsetters, that's for sure, here at Tony's Takes. And I think that's everything. Jim, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll surely be back to talk about more St. Joe's basketball, more Sixers news, Eagles picks, and all the things that you love. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Tony's Takes. We look forward to seeing everyone next week right here on YouTube. You've been listening to Tony's Takes.
The premier sports talk radio, it's Tony's Takes.
Here we go.